just a reminder for everyone, this session will be recorded and will be posted on our Facebook, Professional Speech Communication. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank our honorable guest for today. Thank you for joining us today.
Welcome, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
So right now, I will introduce myself first. My name is Azmina. I am a second semester student from Kuliah of Human Sciences, majoring in communication. So here I am today with my beautiful partner here, Farhana.
Thank you, Sister Azmina. Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Farhana. I'm also from Kuliah of Islamic and Arabian Knowledge of Human Sciences. And I'm also from communication major, majoring in communication in second year, second sem.
Alright, so hello and welcome to today's webinar session. So today we'll be talking about Sustainable Development Goals number 9 regarding the industry, innovation, infrastructure, and disability inclusion. So today is all about uncovering on building a preferable future of PwDs, people with disabilities. So before we get started, I'm going to go through some housekeeping to ensure you can interact with myself and the speaker and also Nana, the moderator. So firstly, if you wish to ask the presenters a question, please click on the chat icon for the in-call messages on the bottom to ask question and list your question in the chat box. We also have an open chat feature enabled to access and chat with other online attendees. Simply click on the chat icon below to share your thoughts and opinions. We invite you to participate and respond in this webinar session. And if you experience any issues in hearing today's webinar, please contact us. My friend says the support team will help you troubleshoot these any issues. So, alright, I would like to welcome our speakers for today. Sister Farhana will tell you guys more about our special guest here.
Okay, thank you, Azmina. Assalamualaikum everyone. So I will share a bit about our expected speaker today, which is Dr. Abdul Wahed Jalanori, who is an assistant professor at IIUM and is currently leading a unit under the Kuliah of Islamic Arabian Knowledge and Human Sciences called Future Studies. He has a lot of experience in teaching and research, as we even saw like 2 of his articles published in New Straits Times twice. And Dr. Abdul Wahed area of specialization is in humanities and philosophy, as he has the academic qualification in political science for both PhD and master level, and Bachelor of Islamic Arabian Knowledge in Usul al-Din and Comparative Religion. So now, Dr. Wahed, can you share about yourself that we haven't mentioned yet?
Okay, thank you very much for your invitation and also for your introduction. It's my pleasure actually to be invited and speak on this very important and crucial topic actually, because this is very important since we are all talking about diversity and also inclusiveness. So before we start and talk about this topic, and also of course you will be asking me questions and I will be answering. My name is Abdul Wahed. I am originally Kurdish from Iraq. I have been in Malaysia for quite a long time. So before joining IIUM, I was lecturer at the University Utara Malaysia, University Malaya, and also I was a senior analyst at the Institute of Strategic and International Studies. I was there for 5 years as an analyst under the social policy. So this is all about me. Yes, back to you.
Okay. So, Doctor, may I ask why future study? What does it mean?
Yeah. Okay. It's very interesting. Everybody asking me this question because to us is a kind of new studies. So future studies actually is a systematic, interdisciplinary, and holistic study of social and technological advancement and other environmental trends, often for the purpose of exploring how we live and work in the future and creating a preferable future. So we are not just forecasting or what you call in somehow predicting the future. We are not predicting, of course, the future. We are just forecasting based on the emerging issues and analysis, and then we create a future. So the Professor Suhail Inayatullah, he's one of the top futurists, international futurists. He defined the future studies as basically understanding the alternative, which is the possible, probable, and preferred futures, and also the worldviews and the myth that underlie each future. So basically, in a nutshell, this is what we mean by the future studies. Yes, back to you.
All right. Can you? What is the significance of creating this unit in your perspective?
Okay. All right. This unit is basically is part of the Kulia Center of Excellence. As you know, under the IRKHS, we have the Kulia Center of Excellence. So as it is conceptualized to support as the what you call as the engine or as a tool for the accomplishment of core academic activities among academicians, among lecturers in the Kulia of IRKHS. So it is established basically to support the agenda to nurture scholarship through research, through publication, which is uh, we look at how, for example, revealed and reason uh, acting together for the rahmatan lil alamin, to the mercy of humankind. So basically, under the Kulia Center for Excellence, we have many units, and each unit is part under different departments. So as far as the future studies is concerned, it's part under the Department of Fundamental and Interdisciplinary Studies. And we have other units as well. So we have the Social Issues and Development Unit under the Sociology Department. We have Policy Area Studies Research Unit under the Political Science. And then we have Psychological Service Unit and many other units as well. So FSU, Future Studies Unit, basically is as you know the Muslims is lags behind, far behind of the Western countries and research institutions in the area of future studies, despite the fact Islam is actually requiring us as an ummah or as a leader of the ummah to be prepared to the best of our abilities for the future challenges, to plan for the future well-being of the coming generations, as well as become a competent and exemplary leader for the humankind. So, despite all these things that we are talking about the future and also about akhirah, the combination of dunya and akhirah, still, if you look at the Islamic world, we don't have such kind of studies. Unlike the Western countries, if you go to any universities, they have a units, they have a centers, even they have academic program for future studies. So basically, this unit was established with the aim to educate IIUM staff and students with the methods of and tools of the futurists used to assist them to anticipate the future and providing them the Islamic perspective as well. So basically, we are here to educate our community about the future and how to create a preferable future. What future we want. So that's our aim for this, the establishment of this unit.
Right. Since your aim is to educate the IIUM students, especially, and now we are currently affected by the pandemic, COVID-19. How has the pandemic affected the implementation of this unit? Is there any difference?
Basically, the unit was established during the MCO. So, yeah. Actually, the idea of establishing the unit comes before the COVID-19, but it was materialized. The establishment of the unit was and during the MCO. As you know, everybody went online. But despite the challenges that we face, the online things and also the pandemic, I alhamdulillah, we were able to what do you call to conduct many projects and many programs, and then in fact the online platform was very good in for our work. So as you can see, during this pandemic, we were able to come up with a project for the Kulia, which is the KIRKHS downward to 2030. We are looking at the 10 years from now, how to create a preferable future for the Kulia in line with the education 2030, which is for the SDG as well. So, and also together, of course, the FSU was appointed as a facilitator for the vision of 2077. Under this vision, we have many clusters. We have the education cluster, we have health, and we have legal cluster, we have governance, and also Islamic unity, many clusters. We have 13 clusters. We were able to conduct almost 4 workshops and 1 symposium, all online. And if you remember, during the July, when a little bit, the MCO was ended, so we were able to conduct face-to-face workshop as well. So alhamdulillah, the pandemic didn't stop us from conducting our work as a unit. Yes.
Doctor, may I ask, how did this unit come about? Like, who is the part of this team?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, actually, future thinking was part of my DNA.
Oh,
I always liked to look at the future, and since even I was child, I read a book written by Sayyid Qutb, The Future of Hada Deen, for this religion, Islam. So since then, of course, it was part of my DNA. Anywhere I go, I like to initiate the ideas and discussions about the future studies. So the idea of the unit came when I joined IIUM, and I proposed this one to the dean, our dean, our beloved dean, Prof. Shukran. And then he agreed, and then we established, alhamdulillah. And our people, the members of the unit, comes from different backgrounds. So as you can see, we have a website. You can check. We have Prof. Najiba. She is from law. She is expert in the family, and we have Prof. Walid. He is from engineering department. We have Prof. Isarji. He was our former deputy director, and then we have Prof. Shukran himself, and then we have even students. We have 2 students with us, and then 2 students, Sister Irma and also the Sister Najwa, and we have many other members as well from different backgrounds. So this is the idea, basically, how this what do you call idea of future studies came about. Yes.
it's a very good team you have, Doctor, and this initiative, because as we know, we might go online for long term. So this initiative is a very good initiative for the upcoming uh, student and all of this. So, Doctor, since we have come up with the introduction part, I think we can start um, about the future first. So, about the
Yes.
future, do you want to have, say, uh, anything else that we haven't asked about it?
You mean
Or maybe how to join the unit, the
No.
future studies unit. Yeah.
okay? Okay. Let me first maybe I just a little bit elaborate on what are the component of future studies. Okay,
Alright.
so that you have a clear picture, and then because still people are a little bit unclear of what the future studies is all about, because future studies is generally misunderstood as a predictive science, which, if properly applied, for example, with reasonable accuracy, you can predict what is going on, what's going to happen in the future. they feel like, oh, this is a kind of palm reading, or I don't know what else. That is like a BOMO activities. We are not the BOMO. We are not doing the Raja BOMO, the one Malaysia. We are not doing this one. It's not the kind of astrological things. The future studies basically is the ideas about the future, like the gem data called the image of the future, which each individual, each one of us actually, whether it's individual or as a group, often holding several conflicting images at one time. So these images basically often serve as the basis for the action in the present. So when we have any kind of image, basically those images will translate into the action. So future studies, we are studying those images of the people or the group. Then based on that, we can forecast what is going to happen in the future. So as different groups often have very different images of the future. So me as a man, my image differ from you as a woman. So Western image may differ from a non-Western image. So this is, you see, each one of us have different image for the future. So one more thing I want to mention is that the future cannot be predicted. So cannot be predicted. So if anyone says that, oh, I know what is going to happen in the future, please don't sit with that person. Don't sit beside with that person. Just run away from him or her, because nobody knows what is going to happen in the future. But having said that, does not mean we cannot, what do you call, looking at the alternative future, or future cannot be forecasted. So the main task for future studies basically is to identify and examine the major alternative futures. So as I mentioned earlier, the definitions by Sohail Inayatullah, he said that. So we are looking at the alternative, understanding alternatives, possible, probable, preferable. So, and then when we do that, when we examine all these futures, then the future, then the preferred future will be identified, envisioned, and invented, and implemented, and continuously we evaluating this future so that we can achieve, making sure that we are achieving that particular future. So to summarize the whole things, the future may be considered as emerging of the interaction of four components. So when you look at the future, we have four things which is interacting with each other. So the future studies, we are actually studying and researching on those things. So we have events. So for example, you wake up in the early morning and then all of a sudden something happens, like tsunami happens, like somebody hits the twin tower, terrorist activities, bomb. These are events. These are events happening, and then we have trends. These trends can be, some trends easily can be identified. Some trends which is very difficult to identify. These are like emerging issues, and those emerging issues are very difficult to look at it. It needs a very deep thinking. You have to look at many things. Then you will be able to identify those emerging issues. Those emerging issues are very provocative because when you try to mention those emerging issues to the people, hey, guys, this is going to happen. Might happen. People will come after you. They don't believe in you. But of course, many things happen. If you just imagine in 1980, you tell people in the year 2021 there will be, for example, pandemic, COVID-19. Everybody will be online, and everybody are conducting classes online. University, every lecturers will be conducting classes online. Of course, people will not believe in you, but it's happening, right? So basically, in a nutshell, this is what we mean by looking at the trends, emerging issues, alternatives, creating preferable future, and this is what the future studies is all about. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. As we all know, there are four components for this future study, which is
Yes.
interacting with each other, and events that we cannot. Sorry, what the word just now? Event that we cannot.
Events, the events and emerging issues. Emerging
Uh,
issues basically is something which is uh, and yeah, I remember. Okay, I mentioned just two just now. I forgot the other one. So the other two is image and also the action as a result of this image. So basically, the future studies we are studying, looking at the events, we're looking at the trends, we're looking at the image, and then we're looking at the action uh, based on those images. So as you know all the image that we have translating into the action. So as I mentioned earlier, so the woman's image for the future is different from the men's. Non-Western is different from the Western. So every images translating into different actions, because what type of worldview you have, then this is how you are going to act. So it is all based on our action is based on our background, our image, our worldview. So the future studies, we are studying all these things, then we are able, then enabling us to forecast what's going to happen in the future. And of course, those forecasting is just you cannot say 100% accurate, but in somehow we are able, we can tell the people, okay, this is might happen, this is might happen. Yes.
okay, thank you, Doctor. So it means that different worldview will have different action, and then you guys, the future study can like interpret what will happen. Is it like that?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Alright, so the main four components is essential to be able to accomplish our the main task to examine the alternatives that can be used to implement in animators, but not uh, implementing the animators by predicting the future. So to relate back with the SDG, to give a closure regarding this topic, I would like to tell that Malaysia, is lacking of the basic infrastructure. Plus, we don't have the enough innovation that were made to support disabled people. So those who do not have jobs find it difficult to go to work, and those who stay at home and don't have the access to the internet. It may be because they could not afford them, or maybe they just can't use them because of their disabilities. Before I want to gain more insights from our respectable guest, Dr. Wahed, I would like to share a little about our current issue with PwDs and our future matters. So I will share slides. Can you see the slide?
Yes, yes.
All right. So this is Mariapan. He is the first Malaysian Paralympic medalist. He is one of the estimated 4.5 million Malaysians living with disabilities, in spite of the contributions he has made to the country's sporting scene, sports. He is still part of the highly marginalized sector of Malaysian society. Move to the next slide. Okay. In 1988, the government attempted to make the country more inclusive by mandating that 1% 1% of the public sector jobs will be filled by persons with disabilities. But many believe that this law alone is not enough to address the larger issue of the PWD marginalization in the country. That 1% quota has been for many, many years at the moment, and only 4 ministries that have been hit more than 1% according to Vice World News. For your information, among the 5 million people with disabilities here in Malaysia, only 1% receive job and other privilege from the government. So Maripan was one of the person who got the job, but then he was uh, forced to quit the jobs because of his disabilities. So since there was only 1% quota among 4.5 million people in Malaysia who have disabilities, only 5 people that is around 1% who get the job. So this means I personally think that 1% is too little, and that the government should take that 1% keep going until it increase to 10 or 20%. In spite of many organization efforts is done to equip special needs children with practical skill, most of them said that there are still no opportunities provided by the government to support their employment when they grow up. Only then, in 2008, Senator Ras Adiba voiced out, and then only they came across this PW Act in 2008. However, even disabled people who have attained degrees find it difficult to secure employment and to go out. We can see from this person, he is one of the alumni from UIA. His name is Muhammad Salim Harmanian. He is a law graduate from our university and a certified advocate and solicitor. Yet he still can't find a job because he says that the places in the work industry don't have a good facilities for the disabled people in the office or in the courts. So it was really frustrating for him because they refused they refused to get him into the industry, to the job industry, because of the facilities itself. So these are one of the facilities that is reported by him that the Malaysians should have upgraded. So in fact, research conducted that there are few opportunities given to disabled people to enroll in schools or universities. Some children have even been rejected to private schools and experience discrimination from the person in charge. So there is also a lack of special education teachers and also limited school facilities such as ramps and grab rails. So the journals from the Vice News also noted that even if PwDs were able to find employment, they would be more likely to experience discrimination and less likely to be promoted to a higher position because of the facility itself. The 1% policy only addressed to a fraction of PwDs' need. Disabled Malaysians don't have access to the same opportunities as the able-bodied citizens like us, and they are marginalized even before they enter the work industry or even school. So, this is one of the examples of the broken leaves, stairs. There are so many stairs in Malaysia, and pavements, and also this guy is showing that he couldn't move in such disaster pavement, disastrous road. So how are we going to help this without the future prediction, without the future planning? So besides giving more opportunities for employment, the government needs to be more sensitive to the other needs for the disabled persons, including their high cost of living, access to the public or commercial buildings and transportation. Plus, what about in our pandemic now? How are they going to survive? Are they just going to stay at home and do nothing? Even the expert says that larger and more holistic changes is needed to be upgraded in our Malaysia's infrastructures and public perception that is needed to be made, especially about innovation industry and infrastructure. Okay, that's all for the sharing part. I will stop sharing. So moving back to our question.
Okay.
The first question. What is your opinion on disability inclusion at the workplace? From your perspective, what will the future of disability inclusion will look like?
Okay. Yeah, it's very devastating. The report just now you talk about this disability. It's very sad, to see these things. But are you sure about the number? 4 point something million people are disabled. Is it from where?
Yeah, it's Vice News Malaysia.
Okay, this is a lot, comparing to the overall population. Okay, when we look at the work and employability in general, you can see clearly that the number of people unemployed globally remain very high. So the more we are actually advancing in technology, looking at the future, the more people are actually losing the job. And in fact, the world economy, there was one report mentioning that almost, in the near future, most of the jobs that we do now will be disappearing due to the technological development. So introducing persons with disabilities into this equation is not an easy job because statistics on employment of persons with disabilities are not always available, and they are often not internationally as well as comparable. So it is fair to say that people with disabilities have a low labor market participation comparing to the people without disabilities. So since many people with disabilities aren't even registered as unemployed, with this condition is even they are not actually registered as an OKU, for example. So this condition is really very rarely expressed in official statistics. And again, even when we look at for example, women with disabilities have a worse situation than men when it comes to the job participation. So, and one more thing I want to mention is that in most countries, people with disabilities actually are more likely to work in precarious jobs. They are paying them a peanuts or being paid less than people without disabilities. It's nothing. It's like exploiting them. So, a person with disabilities, according to one report by the World Bank, which was published in 2019, numbering almost 1 billion worldwide. 1 billion disabled person worldwide. So, if you can see, this number is very big. It can provide a pool of talent for jobs and the advancement of the new goods and services. So they do, however, face, for example, obstacles every day that limit their capacity to contribute equally to the life of all community. So this is not only a breach of their rights, by the way, it is also a tragedy that harming our culture and the diversity that we are talking about. So we are talking about diversity, we are talking about inclusiveness, we are talking about, we have different culture, different backgrounds, and yet we are unable to bring these people in. So actually, this is harming the basic nature of our culture and also our diversity. And not only that, it will have a very negative impact on our environment. So basically, this is what I really believe in this one. We need to bring them in to not only for their rights, but also it's a kind of they are very talented. They can do many things. Yes, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. for your opinion on the disability inclusion. I agree
Yeah.
that there are a lot of unemployment right now, and that people with disability uh, have like more chances of not getting job.
Mm.
So
Okay.
I agree with that. Okay, our second question is, what are the some steps that the international community needs to take to make sure that no one is left behind, especially PwDs in terms of SDG 9, which is innovation, infrastructure, and industry?
Okay. Okay. This SDG 9 is not the only. I mean, this is SDG was not the only things about the people with disability. If you look at in 2006, the UN introduced the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the optional protocol. These two was introduced. So these two treaties actually is significant due to various reasons, and one of them is because it shifts the promotion of and protection of the rights of the people with disabilities from medical or charity model towards social model, which adopts human rights based approach. So, as a member of the international community, Malaysia, as you can see, Malaysia is a signatory for the UN of the CRPD in 2008, I think, and also later ratified the whole things in 2010. So, coming back to your question, which is about the SDG 9, Sustainable Development Goal, all right? This is about industry. This is about innovation. This is about infrastructure. So it is considered as one of the 17 goals. So we have 17 goals, which is related to the SDG. You know, if you look at the 17 goal of the SDG, we have no poverty, we have zero hunger, we have good health and well-being, we have quality of education. Just now I mentioned the IRKHS 2030. Basically, we are looking at these 10 years, how we can actually, in line with the SDG, we are able to offer a quality of education. And then we have gender equality, we have clean water and sanitation, and then we have sustainable cities and communities, and many others as well. We have climate action. So SDG 9 basically aims to build a resilient infrastructure and promote sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. So SDG 9, if you look at it, has 8 targets, and progress is measured by 12 indicators. So we have 8 targets, and progress for these targets is measured by 12 indicators. So the 5 of these 12 is actually the outcome. The outcome. So if we, let's say, we try to look at all this progress, so 5 of these 12 targets is related to the outcomes. So those outcomes is about develop sustainable, resilient, and inclusive infrastructure. So here the things, the inclusivity come in, and then promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and also increase access to financial service and market, and then upgrade all the industries and infrastructure for sustainability, and enhance research and upgrade industrial technologies. So the remaining 3 targets basically is a tool, is a means for achieving those outcomes. So, like for example, facilitate sustainable infrastructure to in the development for developing countries, and also support domestic technology development and industrial diversification. Because the technology is actually, when we talk about the future is in many people when they talk about the future. So the technology come in. We are talking about robots, AI, and Internet of Things, and many other things. And then, of course, universal access to information and communication technology. So and also the goal itself is the G9. If you look at it carefully, it is having a linkages link with other SDG, other SDG 17 goals. So if you look at, for example, industrialization is in somehow connected to the SDG 8, which is about decent work and economic growth. And then when we look at the SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, and then innovation and new skills development, which is the SDG 2, zero hunger, and then SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. So sustainable city and community as well, the SDG 11. So if you look at it, all these things, if we achieve all these goals, automatically, of course, we have a very inclusive and diverse society. But one thing we need to look at it also, under these 17 SDG goals, you can see the spirituality is ignored. So it's all about material things, smart cities, the water, and the zero hunger. Of course, all these things are important, but we should not ignore the spirituality. And here, the role of IIUM can in spirituality under this 17. So basically, this is how this is what SDG 9 is all about. And yes, back to you.
Okay, Doctor, as you say that SDG is interconnected, and that there are like 12 target to for the international committee to make sure that PwD is being taken care of. So now I can pass to Sister Azmina for the next question.
Okay, thank you, Nana. So, since one of the outcomes mentioned by Dr. Wahed is from SDG 9 is to upgrade the infrastructure and technology, also to gain full access on technology. So, do you think technological inventions could assist people with disabilities in a big way, aside about the spiritual matters? For example, software for the visually impaired people, and more inventions should be carried out, and what kinds of problems will be faced in this regard?
Yeah, the evolution of technology and digitalization has been gaining speed and reforming the societies and economies since the industrial revolution, of course. And then the development of the tech world is in somehow empowering the disabled individuals by creating new and better platforms and transforming the systematic of workplace in the near future. That's what I hope for. So the future work lies with the dynamic of technology and science. So allowing human race in somehow to evolve at a fast space, as a what do you call, as a fast pace, as this happens, like the accommodation of the digital tools. For example, now we have you see now me and you, we are online, all of us. So the digital tools can be for the disabled individuals, can create a positive impact on the career opportunities through better accessibility. So critically, uh, the evolution of technology will not only bring the about the advancement in the fields such as mechanics, such as engineering, but it is also most likely to reshape all our careers and create jobs that don't exist now. And this is what I read in the World Economic Forum when they talk about the future of job. There are many reports. You can just Google the future of jobs, then it comes all the reports. So this is where potential opportunities will arise for individuals with disabilities. So due to emerging technologies that improve accessibility and usability, more job opportunities will be created for disabled individuals. Hence, in somehow allowing them to enter the workforce, whether it be the field of engineering, whether it is architecture, science, medicine, education, fitness, programming, or other professions as well. So basically the digital technologies and the technology as a whole can what do you call can provide a very good platform for them to include them in the job markets. So if you look at there are some development in terms of for the what do you call people with disability. Let me I look at the file. I have some collected some technological development. For example, yeah. Okay, this is the file. All right. Yeah. So you see, there is something which is called. If you look at it, we have the congruo electric car. This is founded by Stacy Zorin, who she is struggling from muscular atrophy, for example, and then she is wheelchair bounded. People with disability when the wheelchair users uh, for a long time they have driven a car, but various adaptations and modifications has been done. But it's quite very difficult for them. They have to bring all this wheelchair inside the car, which is like very time consuming and very difficult for them. Very heavy. Every time they need someone to help them. Kangaroo car, the concept is that it's an electric car, so the person with disability, the wheelchair, don't have to straight away, with the wheelchair can enter the car and straight away can drive. So this is a very good development, and we can actually introduce something like that for people with disabilities, so that they are able to drive uh, without needing the help of other people. So this is one of the innovation we can actually bring it. And then we have, for example, smart belt. Smart belt is for people with epilepsy. So this is, these people, you cannot predict anytime they are facing the seizures. So this smart belt is actually what do you call is having a kind of sensor predicting what time or when he's going to have the seizure, so that and alerting the relatives and the guardians of the people with epilepsy to be aware. Okay. And also we like braille smartphone so this is also is one of the initiative uh, invented. And also I haven't seen this one, braille smartphone for the blind people. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know how it works, but it is available. And then there is something called Lucky for keyboard. So this is also in somehow people, those who are unable to use their hands. So just by looking at the, it's a kind of laser able to type, even looking at the keyboard. And also there is iBoard. iBoard is for what do you call, for those people who are suffer from colorblind, invented by Neil Harbison. And also, Dina Vox introduced the IMAX. IMAX is use eye tracking technology for computing, watching television, reading books, and speaking for people with limited mobility. So this is also is another technology for those people who are unable to move. Uh, and then we have the iBot stair, climbing the wheelchair. So this iBot, can stand anywhere, can climb the stair for people who are actually wheelchair bounded. And then we have the bionic arm, Deca bionic arm. You can, they have a website. You can look at their technology, Deca technology. They have many, basically, they have bionic arm, bionic legs, and many others. And then also at the Brown University, there are research going on about the brain, how to, what you call, computer kind of, it's a kind of chips. For example, people who are paralyzed, unable to move their legs or hands, they are able, to give the code to the arm. This is also related to the bionic arms. And also there is also a boom in research in regeneration, how your body actually can regenerate itself. And what do you call, implanting many devices in your body, which is, so basically, if you look at the health sector, there are a lot of development there. They have, for example, inhaled insulin, so you don't have to inject yourself every day. You just inhale, and then you're fine. fine. And then there is also a cancer voice detector. So there's a device. When the person talks, that device will telling you based on the tone of the voice, will telling you whether you are having a cancer or not, or whether you are going to have a cancer or not. So you see, all these technologies actually can be good for people with disability, to bring in them, and then so basically before we don't have such things, but now we have it. Yes, back to you, Azmina.
All right, thank you so much for the many valuable insights about the innovation that I have never heard before, and I really wish that I could help to spread these innovation ideas and also the existed innovation to people who need it. And
Yeah, that's why you need to join this unit, so that because in this unit actually we had a lot of discussions on those things, those innovations in the health sector, in technology, in many other area. Uh, there are many emerging issues. We need actually to look at it, what's happening, what other people are doing, so that we are ahead of everything. Yes.
okay, inshallah, I really hope that the future will have more technological innovation and infrastructure facilities to allow more positive feedbacks and also to provide facilities for the PwDs. Right.
Yeah.
Back to Sister Nana.
Okay, Doctor, the next question is, how do you see PwD affected by the pressuring environment of the workplace? What kind of support should be given to them by the employers?
Your question again, please. Yeah.
What kind of support that the employers should give to the disability people, to the PwDs in the
Okay.
workplace?
Yeah. Okay. To answer this question is we must first look at the challenges they face. The challenges they face. Then, when we know the challenges, then we are able to identify what are the support they need. Right. So, persons with disabilities are often faced with stigma and stereotypes in the society. So always, when we see them, we sympathize with them, we pity them, and this is wrong. We need to change this first, this perception. So, and then there is a discrimination, and there is a higher exposure to situation of violence and harassment. Maybe this is hidden and reported. We need actually to look at this one very carefully, and this is a very serious. And then one of the biggest issue facing disabled person in general in workplace is particularly which is about accessibility issue in terms of uh, built environment, in terms of transport, in terms of the product and services. And then there is also a general lack of awareness and confidence in on how to include persons with disabilities in the workplace. So the boss, the CEO are not confident enough to include them. There is no, there is no awareness, and also inaccessible work permission and work tools, including the information, the information, and also the communication technology, and also inadequate provision in the workplace adjustment. So, for example, we have a workplace culture, okay, 5 to 8, no, 8 to 5. This is the culture. So there must be a kind of adjustment. Now, especially, in the COVID-19, we are all working from home. So all indicators telling us actually working from home, we are more productive than the working in the office. What is the point going to the office, looking, I'm unproductive. But if let's say you have a working flexible hours, you can be productive. You can spend more time with the families. This is for the normal people. But how about for the what do you call? There must be a kind of provision so for them, to maintain, and then also at the same time, there is no kind of support for personal disabilities to maintain employment and to explore their career development. So sometimes, when they employ someone with disabilities, there is no kind of provision to help them to promote, to go up. They just remain in this area, down. And then, so all of these things actually to be looked at in order to make them fully participate in the job market and contribute to the development of our society. So if not, actually, I'm very sorry. We cannot, be inclusive. We need to look at all these things. Then this is a kind of a framework for us to bring all these people, to support them, to include them into the job market. They are very talented. They are also like me and you. They are part of our diversity. So the same thing, like uh, I say, oh, you are Malay, I am a Kurd, she is a Chinese, or someone is India. So someone also is disabled, part of our diversity. Each one of us are contributing in somehow to the development of our society. I have had, throughout my teaching career, I had many students, disabled students, blind, people with student with wheelchair. Actually, they are more smarter than other people. They are more smarter than other people. They do assignment very nicely. They are very smart. They participate in the class. They attend the class punctually. So what is they are lacking? Actually, they are very talented. Yes. Back to you.
Okay, so that's very true, because we need to, first of all, we need to remove the stigma that we have of them
Yeah.
before we proceed to the next step. Okay, the last question, Doctor, is by achieving this SDG 9, how will it benefit the economy of our country?
The economy. You mean
Yes.
yeah, it's okay. It is very clear, actually. So when we talk about inclusivity, when we talk about sustainable industrialization, so when we talk about innovation, so of course automatically can unleash dynamic and the competitive economic forces that generate employment and income. So when we talk about innovation, when we talk about diversity, when we talk about inclusive, of course, there will be many economic activities. So those things actually they play a key role in introducing and promoting new technologies, facilitating international trade, and enabling the efficient use of resources. Just now I mentioned about some technologies which is built for the disabled people. So if, let's say, we are including them in the job markets, they are part of our activity, in somehow will lead to more research, more technologies will be introduced because they are there in the market and they are the part of the process. They are also will be doing things, and then there will be more technologies, more innovation. So but of course, we are still have a very long way to go to fully tap this potential, especially among less developed countries in particular. We need to accelerate development of our manufacturing sector if we are to meet the 2030 target and scale up investment in scientific research and innovation. Yes.
Okay, then thank you for your insight. It's true that when you include the PwD, there will be more technology introduced into the workplace and so on. So I really agree that it could contribute to the economy of the country.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll pass the next one to the sister Azmina.
Right. With that, we actually have come to our end of the session. I would like to share another one slide. Okay. So this is where we have to find. We are the ones who are working with our children and the future children. So because the PwDs can't work for themselves, so we must never stop telling the government or the people in charge that we are being serious and we want the government to see that we can be successfully doing what is best for PwDs. So I aspire to see Malaysia to become a disabled-friendly country. And with that, I will end this. We will thank you, Kart, from us to you, Dr. Wahed. Okay, that's all from us.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation again, and thank you for everybody for your participation. And yeah, it's very good discussion. Please continue this discussion. Don't stop from here. I wish that every week we have something like that to explore more ideas, more things, to talk about the creativity, how to creatively include them here in our in our activities. In fact, actually, during in my when I give the assignment, most of my students actually they write their assignment about disability. And I remember one student wrote a very beautiful assignment, the challenges facing the disabled students inside IIUM. She talked about the facilities, she talked about the admin things, and it was very beautiful. She bring the data and she interviewed some disabled students inside the campus. So thank you very much again for your invitation.
Thank
you,
you for allowing
Doctor.
us to be here this morning with you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming in. Yes?
Oh, Prof, are you here?
Ida, yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome, Prof.
Nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, we learned a lot, I think, today. Yes? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Should we take a group photo? Yeah?
Okay.
Everybody? Yeah.
Okay, inshallah. It's good initiative. It's very good, actually. We need actually this kind of discussions.
Alhamdulillah.
Students among our lecturers, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes, they learned a lot as well.
Okay, I'll take the picture, okay?
But let them open the camera,
Yes. Yeah, that'll be a great idea. Why don't you all open your cameras? Yeah. Okay. Right.
I think we can just proceed with the
Okay,
behavior.
yes. Okay, yes. Okay.
Okay, okay, I'll take a picture again. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you. Done. Thank you for
Thank you so
joining
much.
us too.
Doctor.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Thank you for
Bye.
joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.